Welcome to the Spare Parts Racing Podcast, your podcast for all things motorsports. With your hosts, Sean Chavarella, Stephen Clary, and Taylor Moore.
Hear that music?
Hello, and welcome to another year of the Spare Parts Racing Podcast. I am your host, Sean.
I'm Stephen.
And I'm Taylor.
Friends, we are back. It's another year to talk of all things racing and whatever the hell else we want to talk about. Before we talk about things we've missed over the years, or not over the years,
Over the years. Wow.
Before we talk about things we've missed over the break of the new year, listen, my tongue doesn't always work. It happens. How was your break? What did you guys get up to?
Taylor, go ahead.
OMG, I have to actually, remember. Oh, one thing that I got up to was being told multiple times how bad my memory is. So, apparently I have issues. I learned that over the break.
So is that a cop-out answer of just I don't remember what I did because I was told I have bad memory, so I'm not going to actually say what I did?
Okay, no, I'll say what I did. I will say what I did. I honestly don't even remember. It feels like a lifetime ago. It was last year. Ha ha ha.
Oh, boo.
Okay, actually, honestly, it was just a really good time to just relax, and I read a lot, which was so nice because I hadn't been reading at all. And I really just sat around and drank.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yep.
For 2022? Yep.
I spent my
That's how
break
we ended the year.
eating, drinking, probably playing more video games than I should have. So yeah, it was a great time. Great relaxing time. Got back into iRacing again.
Love that.
Yeah, gonna try to do that more this year. So yeah.
Hey, we got Daytona the next couple weeks, I think.
Yay! There goes my safety rating.
Yep. PTSD
Stephen.
simulator racing version.
Right.
What have I done? Same thing as Sean. Eating too much, drinking too much, watching some fun playoff football.
Really?
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, I'm obviously a Jaguars fan. Taylor has, for some reason, decided to hook her wagon to the ever-suffering Chargers because she doesn't suffer in sports enough.
Apparently,
And,
I don't.
They played, and Jaguars won, and in a fun fashion. So,
Fun fashion, my ass. Whatever. Anyway,
oh, it was fun for hey.
I'm not
was
touching
fun
that with
for me.
Tempo Pool.
First off, you stopped watching. I know that you stopped watching and turned it over
because
to
they were
the
down.
Leafs game.
Because they were down 27-0. The Leafs were still in it.
And I held out. At least I watched my pain till the very last second.
Yeah, all my pain was condensed into about 20 minutes of action.
All right. Anyway, this is not a football podcast.
If y'all want to
We can
fight,
have
go
this
ahead.
debate offline. No, we're not fighting. We're not fighting. I'm just going to be forever in pain because apparently all of my teams, which I support, are disappointments.
Toronto.
And that's why she has a short. That's why she has. Yeah, that's why she has a bad memory.
Ooh, very true. Toronto, check.
Maybe.
Ferrari, check. Chargers, check.
At least they made the playoffs this year. At least the Chargers made the playoffs this year, and they've showed major improvement. So I'm hitching my wagon on that.
It's a good thing you're a goldfish.
Anyway.
As Ted
Hey,
Lasso
all I'll
would
say
say.
is-
Ouch.
All I'll say is Sean's team won the social media. If there was a social media championship, Sean's team won. The Lions were A+ in that regard.
Ah, yes, that was great. And that's all we got to talk about that. So,
Yeah.
moving on, friends. I'm glad everyone had a great break. However, despite us not being here, the racing world kept going. And some big things happened, some big news. So, we are going to discuss. And first, we're going to discuss the fact that F1 has officially, I would say, put out feelers on expansion. So
Yeah.
F1 is looking to bring at least one team in, it seems. Maybe more, depending on, I guess, proposals. But this kind of also leads to the big question of Andretti. Because they also came out with, okay, you're going to make us submit a formal proposal and everything. Okay, yeah, we have General Motors. and Cadillac. Say no now.
Yep.
So Michael just kind of dropped on the table.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, F1 said jump through our hoops, and he basically just destroyed the hoop.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
How about that? You like them apples?
where do you want to begin on this? Do you want to talk about Andretti's bid specifically, and if Andretti will get his damn team, or the fact that F1 needs to have more teams in general?
Well, the thing is we've talked about this so many times. Like, when the news has come out that Andretti wanted a team, like last year, I know that we had that conversation about whether or not F1 should be expanding, and I think we all agreed that yes, there should be more teams on the grid. There should be more seats available for up-and-coming drivers. That would be ideal. I really hope Andretti gets his team. Like, at this point, he's done so much work to jump through all these loopholes and, like, all of the hoops that F1's trying to throw him. Just give him the team. Why not?
Honestly, why not at this point? Yeah. Every
'Cause
every
the rest
time
of the
they
teams
raise
are
the
cheap.
bar, every time the bar is raised, he just okay goes through that. Okay, fine. We'll make it now. You have to do this. Okay, I'm gonna do that. Like, his biggest issue is having all the teams agree to it.
Yeah, well,
But-
and that's the thing is that the teams don't want to lose their and their, I guess, portion of it end of year earnings, right? Like, that's the biggest thing I think I've seen as to why individual teams would oppose it is, oh, we now have to split all the earnings 11 ways instead of 10. We only make 100 million instead of 120 million. But also, we aren't going to mention the fact that Andretti's going to pay 200 million to get into the damn thing. So,
Okay, and that isn't a whole lot in the grand scheme of, like, the sport. 200 million really isn't a whole lot.
no, it's
No.
not.
And when you look at, like, NHL, where two expansion franchises paid 500 mil and 650 mil for, like, a fourth tier, I guess the fourth sport in North America, maybe fifth the way soccer's going, to be honest.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot to pay 200 mil to get into the global, basically, big boys club of F1.
But there's also the other thing of how much revenue is this going to bring in having a second American team on the grid, right? And I mean, you'd have to do you could do a full financial breakdown of how much extra revenue this brings in, depending on how you do merchandise splitting or anything. I don't know how they do all that, all the financial splits, but it's got to be something. And they wouldn't bother adding another team if there wasn't some sort of financial gain, which is why in the end I think F1 will, or the FIA will twist some arms and say, yeah, we're going to add them to the grid because we know how much the FIA loves money.
Well, not
So-
even that. Like, the team is the end of the day. If the FAA wants to do it, they're going to do it. You don't actually
Exactly.
need all the teams' agreement.
Exactly.
When Andretti was trying to get the teams to agree and to support him, was basically him trying to go around the FAA to be like, see, they all want me. You might as well let me in.
Yep.
But now the FAA is basically saying, okay, come at us. Give us your proposal. Why should we basically let you into our club? And Andretti goes,
Yeah, I mean,
you should bring me in because, one, I already have an engine deal with Renault. We know that. I'm also going to be bringing in the largest car manufacturer in North America, General Motors, with Cadillac.
mhm.
And I plan on bringing this nice little young squirt named Colton Herta as my driver.
Yeah. So you have
Okay.
a American foothold.
Yeah. Benefits to F1 is they get an extra team, which is desperately needed.
Mhm.
The fact that you have so much interest in F1 from other people trying to get in, I think shows that maybe Andretti gets the 11th team, but also maybe you can give the 12th to someone as well.
Well, they can have
Yeah.
up to 13, right? So
Yes.
Mhm.
per the current agreement.
I think there's also another point in thinking about the reasons why the FIA would allow it is like when you're thinking about the way that F1 is structuring their race schedules to include 3 American races now, that market for a fan base is rapidly expanding.
Yep.
So what better way to solidify that than introducing another American-based team on the grid?
Yeah, 100%. Like, you can only go up, and then if you have two American teams, and all of a sudden the American audience gets higher, then the American TV deal gets better, then that American TV deal becomes more revenue for the sport, and then all those teams bitching about, well, we're going to lose money. You're actually going to be making more money now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I honestly don't see a good reason not to give Andretti his team. The only reason people do not want to give Andretti his team, and this is, I think there's two reasons actually. One, he's American, and in their world, Americans don't build race cars; they just go in circles. Yada yada yada, all that, right? But I also think another part of it is they don't want the competition. That's one other team that can take points away from them, that can make them look bad, that can hurt their standing in F1, and they don't want that. So they're going to do everything they can to get rid of the competition before it even arrives. And I think that is one of the major reasons, and I think that is the biggest thing that's holding F1 back.
Two counterpoints there. One, you already have Gene Haas, so too bad America's already in. Yeah. Two, suck it up. You are going to lose out on the competition side if you get too boring, which is already like the biggest complaint most people have with F1 is that it's the same three teams.
Yep.
And honestly, it's the last little bit. It's limited in the last two teams.
Yeah.
Because Ferrari's been meh.
It's been two teams for a very long time, though.
Yes,
there's always two teams that rise and then fall and then rise.
Yes, it's literally Star Wars Sith law in F1. There can only be two. The third comes in, we cut them down.
2012 was the best season ever. Just
the other thing is that, like, I think the Europeans need to stop gatekeeping with, like, F1 being purely like European talent. I know that we have the American on, and like we've had Canadians on the grid, but I still think that there is and honestly I think it's just solely Americans. But there's this, it seemed to be that like there's this mentality where like Americans can't drive open wheel cars well in F1.
I think there's a general mentality when it comes to American drivers that they're all like Southern grease monkeys. Which, but like, point. That couldn't be further from the truth. Like, okay.
Exactly. I think...
Like, look at Andretti's, okay? They're from, what, Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not
a guy like, I think, like, obviously, like Jimmy Johnson or like Jeff Gordon. Those guys are from California. You know, like, it's not this southern hick going out there on a, like, Sunday night just whipping his car around. No, a lot of these guys have pretty substantial backgrounds. And they get into racing on merit by being damn good drivers.
Yeah, somehow the stereotype of American drivers has become the like bottom tier of NASCAR fans, if that makes sense. And I'm not entirely sure how that stereotype came to be.
I think that stereotype's been there forever.
Because it doesn't make any sense. But I don't think that, like, I just don't think it's fair because, as you said, like, there are so many American drivers who have had amazing careers and are fantastic drivers, like, within many different series, going from endurance racing to rally car to now, I guess, Formula One, IndyCar, NASCAR, all of them, right? Like, there's just a lot of great drivers.
Just also add this NASCAR thing. Your 2022 NASCAR champ is from Middletown, Connecticut. If you don't want the most white-sounding suburban area.
Yeah.
It's a very northern state.
Meanwhile, Bubba Wallace is from Mobile, Alabama. So, like, you know, that one kind of fits.
Yep.
Okay. Well, all this to say, Americans deserve to be there too. Give Andretti his team.
Agreed. Get Andretti his team.
Just give him his team already. He will not stop.
Honestly, like, he's done enough. And just make it fine. Pay $250 million. Done. Here's the check.
He-
Add the
he's
zeros
He's building an international facility
to house
like-
everything.
to have. Yeah,
I know.
he's got the cash. Do you want the FIA? Do you want the money? Yes. Okay, good. Done.
Also,
Yeah.
if you're building it there is a good chance in the future Indianapolis gets its F1 race back too.
Oh, thank God.
I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying, maybe you could getting Andretti in, get you that 4th American race.
Mm.
I know it sounds like a lot, but
Yeah, but they, if any, at the very least, they'd probably cycle through different American circuits,
yes,
which
think,
I also wouldn't hate. That would be great to have some variety other than the same tracks every year.
yeah, I like that. However,
Agreed.
if you saw with the German Grand Prix when they started doing that, both tracks died out.
Yeah.
So you win some, you lose some. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, besides Andretti, have you heard of some of the other rumors of other people that might want a team?
No.
I don't think so. What have you heard?
Apparently Ford is out in the rumor
yes.
mill.
Oh, come
Which-
on.
Yeah,
Again,
but that was
I'll get to this next. So Ford is one that's rumored. I think Porsche is rumored again to be out there looking for a team or something.
Okay.
Hyundai is out there, and Honda also.
Ooh.
But okay, here's the issue. F1 wants to have this world where all the manufacturers are in F1.
Yeah,
You're-
that's not gonna happen.
No, like look at 2008. Everyone goes, "Oh, well, the recession caused all these teams to pull out, or all the manufacturers to pull out." Yeah, all the manufacturers left, but private teams stayed. So you don't want a grid full of manufacturers. You want manufacturers to partner with private teams, but you don't want just like Ferrari. Ferrari is the only thing that's actually like manufacturer out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, how did they start? They didn't start as a car manufacturer. They started as a damn race team, and over the years, built themselves into a manufacturer. Right? McLaren, same thing. You started as a race team. You built cars eventually when you got bigger. I guess Mercedes would be the only one that's an actual manufacturer, but they just bought the bones of the team off Ross Brawn and became a winner.
Yes.
So, if you want manufacturers, fine. But remember with money tied up in these corporations, they don't like losing money. So you bring all these corporations in as your manufacturers. If they're not winning F1, they'll take their money and go somewhere else because it's not worth it to them. So give Andretti his team. Stop trying to court every single manufacturer. And if you are trying to court every single manufacturer, put more teams in F1 for them to work with.
Yes. Agreed. 100%.
It's not difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but anyways, I guess to wrap this, they'd be looking at what I think they said 2025 as an entry year, if Andretti does get in,
I think that's great.
and it was
I
a
think that's
possibly a rebadged Renault for the first little bit, and then possibly GM
And
just going.
that's a thing also.
fully-
People are mad about the whole rebadge thing. It's like, oh, they're not even going to make their own engine. Okay.
Okay.
They can do it
How many
eventually.
actually do?
Yeah.
But like, how
Alfa
many
Romeo.
teams do?
Alfa Romeo has a rebadged Ferrari engine. Forever, Red Bull had their engine, I think, was like Aston Martin at one point. I think it was, what was the other one? There was Aston Martin in there, and there was another car company,
Renault.
Renault. Yeah, that was it.
Mhm.
And then they went to Tag Heuer
Yep.
because they couldn't have it. Anyway, the point is, if you have everything like that rebadged all the damn time, you can rebadge a damn engine for a season. It's we get it. It's nothing new. So, anyway,
Rant over.
rant's over. People need to get their like the FIA. Well, not even the FIA. The F1 teams need to get their stick out of their ass about Andretti. He's coming whether you
Yes.
like it or not, and you're probably gonna beat him anyway. So shut the fuck up.
For
Yeah.
the first little bit, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that. Oh, know what? Maybe that's the tactic. We delay it as long as possible so they don't start working on the engine.
But every other team is
Sure.
already working on the engine anyway.
Exactly. You delay the competition a little bit longer.
But if they want to do
I
it,
don't know.
Cadillac's party or GM or Cadillac, whoever's going to actually make the engine,
Cadillac Racing.
is probably already working on it.
Yeah. I mean,
So
we'll see what happens. Hopefully, Andretti will get his team, and all will be at peace.
yes, and maybe throw one more in there just for good measure.
That'd be nice.
But we'll see.
Yes.
Anywho, more recent on track, well, virtually on track stuff. Did you guys see that Mad Max Verstappen season has already started?
I thought we were going to talk about the musical chairs.
No, we can do both.
Okay, we'll go Mad Max
You know what?
first.
Yeah, this was recent. This was like today, basically, that it came out. So it was fun. So
Okay.
Virtual Le Mans was this weekend.
Yes. Please
And-
explain a little bit as to why, like, what Virtual Le Mans is. Because all I
Okay.
saw was that people were mad.
Yes. So Virtual Le Mans is basically a 24-hour race, but it's done at Le Mans in R Factor 2, which is the I don't know, Sean, what would you say, second tier sim racing?
It's a very
Right?
it's a very popular one with actual
popular.
drivers because it has a very
Yes.
good tire model apparently.
Yes. And I know this is what Formula E was running when they were doing the virtual stuff at the beginning of the Panini, because that's where they had all their licensing. I think, no, IndyCar was doing iRacing.
Oh shit, we gotta talk about that too.
Yeah, NASCAR did iRacing. Yeah. Anywho, we can worry about that later. That's
Okay, get on to the virtual stuff.
Anywho, Virtual Le Mans. They had a lot of issues running it this year, and they even red flagged the race twice due to a possible security breach.
Oh.
So
Did
you know
they get,
that's
like,
fun.
DDoSed?
Yeah, basically they got doxxed.
Yeah.
So that wasn't fun. The reason Max was so angry and put a message on Discord basically calling the race a clown show was so obviously when you run a virtual race, you're going to have some issues that you may not necessarily have with a real life race. That being people disconnecting. And what happens when you disconnect? The car basically just gets reset to the pit lane, and you lose laps. The rule in the Virtual Le Mans, or I can't remember if it's like that's the name of the actual series. They do a couple races every year, but anyways, their rule is we have 4 drivers or 4 cars that are on track drop out simultaneously. Those cars will get their laps reinstated because clearly there's an issue with the server. Anything less than that, your laps do not get reinstated. At one point, Max and I think it was either 1 or 2 more drivers both lost connection, and it happened multiple times. They lost laps and went from, I think, the number 1 red line, which is Max's team, went from 1st to 15th and did not get their laps reinstated. And they lost multiple laps, and he basically just rage quit.
Okay.
And then he put in the Discord, this is a clown show. How do you have this happen? And yeah, the fiery temper of Max Verstappen came out and was unleashed upon Virtual Le Mans. So that's the first Mad Max situation of the year.
That's very good. I say overview of what happened. Also to mention, there was like a cash prize of $250,000.
Well, so that's what I was going to say. Bring up after this. So, initial thoughts on sort of raging at a video game. You two.
I mean,
Is it-
Steven, I've played Call of Duty with you enough, Steven, that I know you rage at video games quite a bit.
Oh yes.
So even with nothing on the line, so
Exactly.
I'm not gonna say he's in the wrong. I can understand the annoyance he has with the game.
but or is that just where your thought ends?
I will let Taylor go, and then I'll continue.
Okay, here's the thing. I am not a very good data point for this because I don't play video games, and every single time I have, I've rage quit because I can't, like, for some reason my hands just don't video game. Like, the controllers don't work well, my brain doesn't work that fast to actually get it right, and, like, trying to play Lego Star Wars and, like, failing was, like, a very low point in my life. So, I am just not, I just don't have a good reference point. But I understand why it happens. It's frustrating when things don't go well and you're, like, in the middle of a game and you lose progress, so I can, like, empathize with that frustration. Especially if there's $250,000 on the line. Not that he needs it, but
I don't see anything wrong with Max's reaction. I do believe that the developer, not developer, the people putting on the race, like the sanctioning body, the guys who are in charge of running the events and all that, yeah, they are the ones. They are the ones to blame. Okay, because it's their decision of what rules to allow, what not to allow. Disconnects will happen. 24 hours is a long time. And to say your internet doesn't drop in 24 hours, yeah, it's known to happen.
Yep.
At the same time, can you stop the race every time someone disconnects? No, you can't. Could you, in a way, make the race so that every time someone disconnects, or you have maybe a couple people disconnect, treat it as a crash and throw maybe a caution? You could do that. I don't know what is available on R Factor for, like, the moderating of these races and, like, the officiating. So I don't really know what they can and can't do. I do think there are things they could do that could make the situation better. Perhaps using R Factor, which is a 10-year-old game at this point?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know how good its servers are or how up to date they are, or if they can handle such a wide load of traffic. So again, maybe there's things you can do in the future. Also, preventing DDoS attacks is kind of, you can't do much about that. So at the end of the day, I think Max should actually just chill his shit because it's a fun event. Yeah, there is kind of a cash prize in there. You don't need it, Max. It's a bunch of actual, like, pro drivers anyway doing this.
Yeah, well, so and that's the thing.
Oh, okay.
Just because he doesn't necessarily need the money, he does also have teammates who don't make, millions of euros a year.
Agreed.
Who might be able to use the money. So, I think on that front, it can be a little bit justified. But yeah, like, so Sean, you and I we've done 2 online races. We did Daytona, which was an 8-hour race?
Yeah.
Right?
And we did a 6-hour at Sebring.
6-hour at Sebring. And I don't think we had too many problems with disconnect. Again, much shorter time frame, so probably could have happened if we did a full 24-hour, but they had a wide variety, and this was on iRacing, and there was a wide variety of options to fix any issues. So, like, if there was black flags because of whatever, those could get cleared easily. They could throw yellows. I'd like to imagine R Factor has something similar at this point for race control, but I also don't use R Factor. I'm sort of the same, like, in the dark a little bit, but
and, like, it just
somewhat justified
bad on R Factor, right? Like, so maybe it causes R Factor to update some stuff, fix some things so it doesn't happen. Sometimes you need to have terrible things happen to your events so that you can fix them.
Yeah,
it's just the way.
The only other thing I'll say is that I think they've been doing this for like 2 years now, and if that's an issue 2 years into this, that's sort of embarrassing as well, right? Like, if this is 2020 and it's the first time, okay, yeah, you're not used. It's like the entire world. No one's used to having everything done online, right? So you're gonna have some hiccups, but I think you've done the event enough times now where you should probably have this sort of stuff figured out. And the DDoS attacks, if that's causing extra things, then come out and say it.
I think it did, but at the same time, just don't do it live. If it's a DDoS attack that's screwing your server over, breaking everything, fine. Next year, we're not going to do it live. We'll, I guess, put it out live afterwards. We'll pre-record it all, but we're not going to do it live.
Yeah.
So people can experience it in real time, but it'll be a day later or something. You won't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mysterious.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So.
Can we go with the other sim racing news?
The musical chairs.
No,
Oh, the
other sim racing news.
Oh,
which
Jesus, you're jumping all over the place.
I know, this was not in the plans, but I also want...
iRacing, yes.
Because we talked about this, I want to bring it up.
This is big. This is big.
IndyCar and iRacing had a big divorce.
They did. They had a massive divorce.
And iRacing wasn't too happy about it. A lot of people within
I
iRacing...
can imagine.
And this kind of goes into all sorts of musical chairs and stuff in the off season because iRacing currently has a contract with Motorsport Games for them to produce a game, allegedly to come out this year. Has this anything materialized from this game? No, not even a trailer, not even a screenshot. Couldn't tell you if it exists or not.
So it's basically like a floating thought at this point.
Yeah.
Well, so for those that are not familiar with video games, you will usually see some sort of trailer from the game engine. What, minimum 6 months in advance of the release? Like I'm trying to remember like more recent stuff. Like, or so they have E3 every year, which is like the big video game convention, and that's when all the trailers for games drop. Like the new Star Wars Jedi game that dropped. It's not coming out till what, September? I think.
Well, and they did that for F1 Manager too, right? Like
Yeah,
they had that trailer out for quite a few months before they actually released the game, so people could get hyped about it.
And like in-game screenshots are usually a thing.
Yeah, if there isn't a full-blown trailer, there's some sort of artistry and what the final product will somewhat look like. You usually have something material to present to your fans and investors, and we haven't seen anything.
I'm just going to their website right now.
Yeah.
And seeing if there's anything
while you're
there.
doing that, when it comes to sports games, you typically release it sort of like Drive to Survive. You release it prior to the season, so that way your fans get ready, can go in, have some fun,
No.
get the interest peaked.
Nope. No, not racing games. Racing games come out mid-season. NASCAR comes out
that's
mid-season, and so does F1. Because that's also how they get like, you can't pre-release cars that are not
liveries. Yeah, that's fair. I guess I'm thinking like Madden, NHL, but yeah,
FIFA.
Either way,
same thing. Yeah.
Either way, by Christmas time, if you don't have a physical copy of if that's not when you're releasing the game, you should have something material to show where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the game is being released in the next 9 months or so, let's say. Which, mid-season, that puts it like June, July.
And you got nothing. So anyway, this game allegedly doesn't really exist at the moment. Motorsports Games is very ironclad with its contracts. So as of January 1st, 2023, Motorsports Game became the exclusive rights holder of IndyCar games. So no other game can use the IndyCar license without basically Motorsport Games approval or anything like that. iRacing obviously is like, we've been partners forever. Like I think for like the last decade at least, IndyCar has been on iRacing as a licensed brand. So that's gone.
Oh.
Which
Oh,
is
sorry.
massive because
Yeah.
iRacing, from my knowledge, I don't do iRacing. I'm not involved in that like aspect of motorsports, but from what I know, it's a massive platform.
So iRacing dropped all IndyCar names, so nothing can be called IndyCar Series or like Indy Lights or any Index T, whatever. It's all like American Open Wheel, I think is the new series name.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, they dropped all that. They don't have an official calendar to go with the IndyCar Series like they did last year and like for subsequent years. So they lost all that. You can no longer stream the game and like broadcast. So you can't do like an IndyCar Racing online league and broadcast that. You can still like as a streamer stream the inside, But you can't do like a league or something and stream the outside, so that's not allowed.
Question.
Yep.
Okay. So this like motorsports games thing, is this a company?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this isn't like a platform the same way that iRacing is, right? Because like iRacing is the actual platform in which people use.
Yes. So
Okay.
Motorsports Games is a company that owns a whole bunch of... For example,
Yeah.
R Factor 2 we just talked about is owned by Motorsports Games.
Okay, so
They also deal with the NASCAR games.
Okay, so I feel like, as a consumer, this seems to be like, I don't know how much money they paid to get the rights to this, but it seems like a massive shot in the foot for people because of just how popular iRacing is as a platform.
And also, Motorsports Games is a sinking ship.
Yeah.
Please, so IndyCar is yet again shooting themselves in the foot.
That's
with
why.
their fan
That's
base.
why they fired their last marketing director. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Lovely.
At this point last year, want to know what Motorsports Games stock price was? At this point last year, it was $38.
What's it now?
$3.93.
You sure it was 38 and not? Oh, sorry,
Uh,
2022. Yeah.
Yep. At this point last year,
Oh
it was
my-
38. It has lost almost
Two
100% of its value.
2 years ago, it was worth 326.
Oh my gosh! Who made that decision? That is terrible!
Yikes.
Yeah.
Like, they
And
shouldn't have
you
just
hit
been
your
fired.
you hit your wagon to a sinking ship. Yeah. So
And alienated that entire part of your fan base that is
Yeah.
massively involved in iRacing. That is ridiculous.
for a game that
Ridiculous.
doesn't exist, that no one sees it.
Redonkulous. Redonkulous.
So
Oh my gosh. That actually makes me mad. I don't even do iRacing, but it makes me so mad because, like, I like watching IndyCar, and it's so frustrating how they shoot themselves in their foot.
literally,
All
it
the
is the
Yep.
stupidest corporation in terms of racing. They
Oh
just
my
have to do
gosh.
the easiest things, and they consistently shoot themselves in the foot. Anyway, so that's just I thought you'd find that funny.
Okay. I have an idea for IndyCar. I think they should hire the three of us as their marketing team because we would do a much better job than whoever the idiot was who was running that, because that was a terrible decision and we could have done so much better.
Or just hire someone to be like, do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah.
Just
it's
just
the-
one
the old
person. They all
hire someone to tell you no to every
Yes.
every other idea.
Yeah. How about no?
Yeah.
Or
the Jiminy Cricket.
Yes.
Or you do the old Leafs GM thing, which is, do we keep this person, or do we hire a potato that can do nothing?
That was a
Does-
that was a
does-
Canucks thing,
does-
not a Leafs thing, by the way.
Yeah. Either way, does the potato beat the person? If yes, fire the person.
Like, I just want to point out, under whoever the hell the stupid marketing manager is, they renamed Indy Lights and Indy NXT,
Which is
Which-
a wrestling thing.
which is a wrestling thing that already existed anyway, NXT. So fucking genius on that end to do the basic amount of research. And you signed a contract on a company that is rapidly sinking, hasn't produced anything for you, has nothing to show, and yeah, you deserve to be fired. I'm sorry. I hope you never get a job again. Or maybe like get a job in
Well-
like the NFL. Bring that league down. It's too high. It's too big.
Boo. No, it's not. Okay. On the note of
NFL
being
is
fired
massive.
/ getting moved all over the place, let's talk about some musical chairs.
Yes.
So many people moved. So if you don't follow our TikTok, one, go follow it. Two, you can watch a video of me trying to fit in every single move that happened in about 24 hours.
What is the
into a 3-minute
TikTok,
video.
Steven?
At Spare Parts Racing, I think. I don't know.
God damn it.
It's
man.
just at Spare Parts.
Look for the Spare Parts Pod. There.
Okay.
Happy?
Good job.
Okay.
Anywho, we had like everybody moving everywhere. It was basically silly season, but winter and principals, not drivers. So, do we want to go through every team and what? Or
Hammer,
just the moves?
just hammer them out. Go through everything. Fuck it.
Okay, so let's start. I'm just going to take the graphic that F1 has for all the current spots because that's easiest. So we'll start with Red Bull's the same, Mercedes is the same, Alfa Romeo doesn't have a team principal, but Andreas Seidel came over from McLaren. So there's that. Replacing him is another Andreas. I don't remember how many jokes were made about this because a lot of people instantly made this joke. They literally they got rid of Seidel. They brought on Andreas Stella just so that way they didn't have to change the initials on all the jackets and everything. It's still AS. Anywho, so Andreas Stella is in at McLaren. Fred Vassar is in at Ferrari.
Called it.
Thank goodness.
Called it.
Yeah, good job, Sean. Who am I missing? I don't know if I'm actually. Oh, the latest one, which is James Vowles, is now taking over at Williams because what's his face is gone.
And James Vowles, as famously
Capito?
of Mercedes.
I already forgot what's his
this
name.
is Valtteri. This is James. That James.
Yep. Yep.
Oh,
The-
that James?
That
Yeah,
James.
that's James.
The head of
their-
strategy at Mercedes is now the team principal of. Yes.
Oh, that's a much bigger move than I thought it was at the beginning.
Yeah. It's the beginning of the breakup of the Mercedes brain trust.
OMG. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Okay. Brain just did a explosion because I had no idea who that guy was. Wow. That's big.
Yes.
Interesting. Williams has got some stuff in the mix here. Okay.
They're still going to be a
Anyway.
terrible team, but like whatever.
Hold on though. We could talk about this in a little bit, but
Where are you going with that? What is that? What is what?
Have you guys heard okay, hold on. Have you guys heard the rumors about who could possibly be signing up for a sponsorship deal with Williams for 2023?
Porsche?
Nope.
No. Okay. Who?
Golf Oil.
There's always a golf freaking oil.
I know,
rumor every
there's
year.
always a Golf Oil.
I'm
yeah,
not
but
gonna believe
think
that.
about it. Well, they left McLaren, right? Like they pulled all of that out.
They had like
from
one
that
thing
team.
with McLaren, the one time. Nah, I don't believe it. I am choosing to not believe it until I see an actual announcement. But also doesn't mean like, you know, they have money. They still have money from last year, so.
That's all I was saying is like, can you imagine if Golf Oil is in the picture because that's like, you know.
Yeah, it'll be
lot of money.
great when they have to strip off the paint of the Golf Oil logo to run a car that is carbon fiber because they are built way too heavy.
Sure.
That's literally
I mean,
that's what they had to do last year. That's why a lot of times the car was just black.
Again, I'm thinking more towards Williams having more money, and if they have somebody in there who is like really good with strategy, the way that James is. But interesting move. This is just making me think a lot.
Anywho, that was the quick summary of Silly Season Team Principal Edition.
Anyone you want to talk about? Anything specific?
I'm still curious to see who goes over to Alfa Romeo because that seat's still open.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know at this point who you're going to have fill that seat. Like this late into it. Like who else? Like, is Seidel just going to say, yeah, screw it, I'm running the show? Even though he's technically CEO.
Yeah, maybe. I have no idea. Yeah.
So, does he bring in some random name from the past? I think I'm trying to remember. I was reading up at this. This is back a month ago when all this news broke. I thought I remember. I kind of wish I had watched the video. I think Jos Capito had a history with Alfa Romeo somewhere in there, or was it someone else? Anywho, there's at this late in the season, I wouldn't be surprised if they just bring in someone in name and Seidel's just running the show for this year, because we're like a month away from testing. I don't know who you're bringing in at this point.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, but who knows? There's just a lot of movement happening right now in terms of management of teams, so I'm just interested to see how it's going to affect how the teams are run going into 2023. I'm hoping that the Vassar move is going to make Ferrari actually competent again.
Yes. I got no notes to that. I also agree.
Make Ferrari competent again.
That's a high bar.
Big sad.
Anywho, any notes on Stella, Vassar, Sean? Yes, you called it. Good job.
I mean, those are very easy to call.
Vowels. It was. A lot of people called that one. So that's just natural promotion, right? Stella was not natural promotion because he was already with McLaren. Vowels moved up in terms of position, down in terms of team. So we'll see what happens for Alfa Romeo, because that's the last seat left.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
We'll see. Okay. Anything else to talk about? Is that kind of it in terms of news we've missed? Anything major?
I mean, we got all the car launch dates, but that's it.
Yeah, one thing that I think we do need to mention in terms of news that's come out over the break is the unfortunate and tragic passing of Ken Block. Do you guys know much about him?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember watching a lot of his like Gymkhana videos back in the day. Very impressive driver of all vehicles. I think he's a pretty good rally driver.
He is an amazing rally car driver. Not only that, but he was also one of the biggest advocates for rally car in terms of the American scene. Multiple time over champion of various different rally car series. Do you guys watch rally car very often, or have you ever like seen much of it?
I usually see where they go flying off the road.
Yeah, I used to watch
so you guys
rally
actually
car.
haven't sat down.
I used to, but it was more playing the games because I used to love driving the Subarus around and drifting.
That's fair.
Okay, well, one, like rally car is actually a really interesting series. I don't watch it much, but the rally in Dakar is really interesting. I did watch that, but the loss of Ken Block is massive. It's very sad that he's gone because he was just a massive advocate for rally car. And fun fact about him is that he is one of only 4 Americans to have scored points in the World Rally Championship, which is amazing. So he will be sorely missed by the community overall.
Yeah, definitely. Amazing driver. Did some great things with cars, and I think brought a lot of people from the car community into the racing community. And
honestly, he was a marketing genius when it came to motorsports and rally car and racing in general. So, yeah, just very sad news to come out of the break.
Well, 2023 is going to be a shit year. I already have 2 bad starts, so.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we can only have hope. It can only go up from here, right?
Yes. Anyway, is that all we have for this week?
I think so. Anything we didn't cover yet, we can cover.
We'll get to it all. Yes, there's been quite a bit. So, yes, welcome to 2023. We are back. We are doing our thing, and we hope that you will be with us all through the year to experience it all with us and just to see what else